Omelets. Very cheap, very easy, and it's one of those things that all the cookbooks tell you have to do the right way, and nobody cares how it actually is supposed to look. You just want to eat it. I've got 2 eggs in a bowl, and I don't actually normally mix them up in my eating bowls because you can scratch up the bowl surface with your fork when you mix it up like this, but I can't find any of my other mixing bowls, so we're just going to do it like this. Do I get a little thumbs up when you're ready? Okay. So 2 eggs is plenty for a normal person. If you're really hungry, if this is dinner, maybe 3. But 3 eggs is a lot of food, especially if you start putting other things in it. So I would start with 2. And just whip it up with the fork. You can add a little splash of water or milk to this. It doesn't much matter. It makes it a little less tough. If you want to make it a little more tender, you can add a little liquid to it. The pan should be hot. And this is supposedly a non-stick pan. It's not terrifically non-stick, and we'll talk about that at some other point. But the way you can get it to be more non-stick is put a lot of oil in it. It's really not as bad for you as people think, especially if it's grapeseed oil. And we'll talk about that too. But I put as much oil as I think I can stand in there. Get it all around the inside of the pan. Dump in your egg. Oh, it should be hotter actually. I'd like to see it puff up a little bit almost immediately. So I'm going to turn it up. And this is the classic omelet technique. You see how the edges are cooking faster. You just pull them away and into the center of the pan. Now I can tell you right now, this is not even going to make a great omelet because this is not a terrifically non-stick pan and it's sticking already in places. But what you get if you do it this way is a fluffy, kind of a whipped omelet that's creamy in the center. It's not fully cooked in the center. And crispy on the outside. I don't like that kind of omelet. I don't like it creamy on the inside. I don't like it with the classic sort of center. So I don't ever cook it that way. What you theoretically are supposed to do is let this omelet cook on the outside. You can see how it's really cooking quick on the outside. This inside is never going to be 100% cooked, so if you're worried about salmonella, that's not a good idea right there. And theoretically what you are supposed to be able to do, you can tilt the pan like that to get it to fill out the edges, is you fold it over this way, you fold it over this way, you throw it on a plate, done. I don't like my omelet that way. And I'm going to show you what's going to happen when you try and do this. And this is why you think you can't do an omelet. You put a little pepper in it. If you put salt in your eggs, it makes them tough right away. I would put salt on at the end. You don't generally mix salt into the eggs when you're cooking it. That's true for any type of an egg dish. This is as cooked as a classic omelet would ever get. So I'm going to fold it over this way. Okay. Fold it over this way. And this is what you get, a mess. And it's runny on the inside, and I don't like it. So why would you eat that? It's nasty. I don't want it. Give the kids to eat it. And it definitely does not look attractive on the plate. There's just no good about that. The way I would actually recommend trying to cook eggs for you or someone in your family. Get oil into the pan. The second one's always better than the first one. The first one always does stick, so it's sort of a setup for the first one I just did, but the second one will be better. Go ahead and add your eggs. If it's really hot, it will be easier to flip it over if you really want to flip it over. So I'm wanting it to be, that's what I want. I want it to sizzle like that when I get it in there. Go ahead and pull the edges back. You're going to see this is much better than the first one anyway. It's got more oil and it's lubed up now and it's hotter. This is the way it's supposed to go. If it's going well, like this one is going well for me, then I would say, okay, we'll call it an omelet. If it's not going well, call it scrambled eggs. You know what? It tastes just as good. In fact, I think it tastes better. I like scrambled eggs. If the whole thing can move around in the pan like that, then let it set for a second. And when you get fancy, you can try to flip it. Or if you want a really wide spatula, something like this will let you like get under it and flip it. I cook it on both sides because that's what I like. And then I'll get a plate. I'll roll it right on under the plate like that. Yeah, like that. You fix it. I want it to look nice for somebody's lunch. Then what I do is I've got a nice hot omelet there. I put shredded cheese right on top of it. And here's something they never tell you. You can keep this right in the freezer. This is something that the heat of the omelet or any other food you put it on, if you're making a grilled cheese sandwich or anything, is going to melt the cheese just fine, whether it's just come from the freezer or whether it's come from the fridge. And it won't get moldy and wet if you leave it in the freezer instead of the fridge. So I put some shredded cheese on it. Got a fresh jar of salsa here. Put a little salsa on that baby. Yes, I lick the edge of the jar. If the kids aren't helping you cook, they're never going to see it. A little pepper maybe. You could get excited and put some sour cream in there. Don't use the fork you just mixed up the stuff with. That fork has uncooked egg on it. That's yucky. That's not good for you. You can put a little sour cream on it like that. Or yogurt works just as well. And yogurt you can do so many other things with it. I tend to have yogurt in the kitchen more than sour cream, but today I happen to have sour cream, so I'm putting sour cream in there. Now, you tell me which one of those you'd rather eat. I like this better. This one worked out better because the pan was hot and it was greased. But honestly, if it was scrambled eggs and you put stuff on it, that would be just fine. You can also now cube up some ham and put that on there, or any other type of meat. Sausage, bacon, hamburger, cooked hamburger. Anything can go on with this, and it's a very complete meal without a carbohydrate. Now, if you want to have a carbohydrate, you have to put a bread or something like that with this, a bagel or a muffin or something. But as far as I'm concerned, that's lunch.